Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Avengers made it so that they became heroes first and then teamed up, and then Justice League made it so that they kind of like become heroes together. I don't know. It's like it's different. It's not better or worse, but I think it's kind of interesting that they.
I have 2 points to make as well. One of them being that the Avengers. Okay, well, let me start off by saying Justice League. They're actually a team, and they actually like each other's company. You know, they work well with each other. The Avengers are just.
It was an initiative.
Yeah, it's people that are, you know, they don't necessarily get along. That's why there's like a million fucking teams in the Marvel universe, because they can't fucking stay together. But yeah, it's, you know, DC and Marvel characters are very different, so I feel like, yes, this worked for the DC universe.
It feels like Justice League was the true, like, they're a league first, almost, and then
yes,
they're doing superhero stuff when the league isn't needed.
Right.
Whereas Avengers felt more like, oh, this is like, we might as well get these guys together because this is a huge threat and could use everyone and it affects everyone.
Right. The other point I had to make, I don't remember, so.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, I think both of them work differently for each other. Wonder Woman is still the best DC film.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is my favorite Marvel film. It's not the funniest, but it is, in my opinion, the best because it's got some heartwarming moments.
Oh, also, I do remember what I was going to say. Recently, Marvel has been introducing characters in other movies, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Spider-Man was in a Captain America movie first.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah.
So we skipped an origin story and it worked.
Yeah, and they're introducing characters like Scarlet Witch. She could possibly, you know, be a bigger character later. Yeah, they don't have to have origin stories anymore, and Marvel's, I think, realized that. Like, the new Spider-Man movie wasn't an origin story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Batman, you know? He has been around for a little bit. And
That's all
you need to say.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally...
And the movies that Marvel started off doing origin stories with, not a lot was known about those characters. Like, Iron Man wasn't really that well known.
Yeah, definitely.
Thor...
I knew of him more than I watched his cartoon a lot, but I still didn't know that much about him.
Yeah. So I feel like an origin story for Iron Man was, yeah, that works.
I don't think we needed one for Hulk.
No. Well, the Hulk movie wasn't even really an origin story.
He was already Hulk by the time.
Yeah. The opening credits are like a montage of how he became Hulk. But the movie opens with him already, you know, on the run and shit.
That's cool.
So that was just kind of, yeah, that was a Hulk movie that happened. Thor, yeah, I mean, of course you know who Thor is because of Norse mythology, but yeah, I feel like a Marvel Thor movie kind of made sense. In execution, I don't think it made much sense, but... I
like the idea of superhero origins and introductions being in other heroes. It makes it, of course, you might alienate the people who, like, say someone goes to see Spider-Man Homecoming. Mm-hmm. Well, they explained everything.
Yes.
Not in a way that if you saw Civil War, you'd be like, oh, we're hearing this again. I already saw it, what do I need to know? They did it in a fun and interesting way.
Yeah, but hear me out. Like, they didn't do an origin story for Spider-Man this time around, but they did one for Doctor Strange, because everyone knows who Spider-Man is, but not a lot of people knew who Doctor Strange was.
Funny enough, I already knew Doctor Strange's origin story beforehand, but that, I don't...
Well, right, but that's...
Yeah, I'm not the average Joe.
Right. Do you see where I'm coming from, though?
No, I understand.
Yeah, they can do origin stories when it's necessary.
I also don't... Well, sometimes I think... Well, not everyone knows the Flash's origin story, I guess.
You don't, but at the same time, I feel like DC's characters are a lot more iconic and people just know them.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying there's also, like, a hand wave explanation in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because, he goes, so you were struck by lightning. Oh, shit, this is probably a spoiler.
It's not.
Okay, you don't consider that a spoiler? Okay. Well, Cyborg says, so you were struck by lightning. Yeah,
Whoa.
so like that's all they needed to really, and he says that's the abridged version.
Yeah.
I feel like superheroes don't always need an origin story. Maybe, but it's also because of a lot of it's funny because people, or at least they can have an origin story, but like it doesn't need to actually, we don't need to watch them become the superhero.
Yeah.
It's funny because origin stories were not super common in superhero fiction for a long time, especially like in the 80s. We saw superheroes like Batman 1989 starts with, Batman doing some shit.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought of that.
And they call it a Batman cold open, which is cool. Is whenever a crime fighter is doing something at the beginning of a movie that has nothing to do with the rest of the plot, or has less to do with the plot, because a Batman movie usually started off with Batman kicking some ass, and then the main story started. Just so we got some cool Batman stuff. A lot of superheroes do that. But we didn't really get origin stories until I did a little bit of research in this. Spider-Man. And how great was Spider-Man's... The first Sam Raimi Spider-Man origin story. That was a great origin movie, right? It's because then it became popular to do origin stories.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're fatigued from it as an audience, because every superhero's got like an origin movie, or did for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think we're definitely getting fatigue from it. I'm definitely getting fatigue from it. So I can admit that there's nothing wrong with origin stories. It's just I feel like.
Let me ask you this: what was the first Superman movie about?
They did show a little bit of his origin.
I never saw the first one. I really liked.
I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I've seen it.
As a kid, I really liked Superman 2 with Zod in it, but I never saw any of the others.
Yeah, and you didn't need an origin story to know. You could be like, this is a superhero. We don't need to know why they're fighting crime or how they got their powers. Well, it's usually better to know that, but we don't need to see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Offhand comments or... Watchmen showed Mr. Manhattan in an interesting way. They showed his origin story like in a flashback.
Oh, okay.
You've seen Watchmen?
Yeah, I've seen Watchmen. I was just saying, oh, okay, for the audience.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Just keeping the conversation going.
Sorry. But we don't see why the comedian fights crime. We don't see why almost all the characters.
Yeah, I didn't really care much.
We did see Rorschach's descent into darkness, but that was actually interesting to see. Like, why Rorschach went from a superhero to an anti-hero.
Well, also, yeah, I mean, that movie's just not about their origin, though.
Uh-huh.
I think it's a very...
Because their origins aren't super important to the story.
Yeah, it's a very deliberate decision to make it an origin story, because you have to drop any other possible plot, and make at least half of the movie about them discovering themselves as this new hero.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, any other plot line is going to be the B plot.
I think my issue with origin stories is that a lot of them are done very similarly, like with similar beats and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh look, I'm so different than I am in my superhero form, but I'm still familiar. And then, oh no, something has happened. What? I have powers? You know what I mean? Like, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man did that, and a lot of people not even like copied it, but they followed the same story beats because it's just that's how superheroes are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think the fatigue set in.
Well, how about this? Would you say that Avengers, Justice League, and Guardians of the Galaxy are origin stories for teams?
That is different. But at the same time, it's similar. And I agree, it is an origin story for a team.
Guardians of the Galaxy in particular, because that really was, the first in the series.
I think right now...
Oh, shit.
Actually, you know what? That'd be interesting if we started getting superhero team origin fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it would happen, but... I mean, if you notice, there's a lot of, like... Guardians of the Galaxy kind of subverts this a little. But, like, Avengers and Justice League had kind of similar plots. hell, if you've watched the Arrowverse shows, the Invasion crossover is pretty much the same plot as the Avengers and Justice League. The whole alien invasion brings a bunch of heroes together.
Do you think that audiences are eventually going to get crossover fatigue?
I hope not.
I hope not too.
Because I like these universes. It feels more right for comic books.
I do too, but eventually it's going to hit a point where it's just like the everything verse.
Yeah, a lot of people think that there's going to be an Agatha Christie verse because of I don't think there needs to be an Agatha Christie verse. I mean, what are you going to do? Poirot and Miss Marple?
Oh my god, so dead. That sucked.
The idea of a shared universe, though, because these movies have to create their own universes by default anyways.
Right.
It's just whether or not we have universes where does this always have to be the main character, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not against just more movie. I wasn't even against the concept of a dark universe.
Oh, I loved the idea of the dark universe.
It's just the execution was terrible.
Yeah.
We got the Mummy, and then they were like, alright, this sucks.
I'm down for shared universes. I think they're really cool.
You think that there might be a fatigue?
I think
there's definitely already criticism.
Right. I think that it's really cool for people like us who are into that kind of thing, but for general audiences, like moms and dads that don't, they aren't into comic books and video games
and they don't consume media the same way.
World building and shit like that.
For a lot of people, media is consumed on oh, look, that looks cool, I'll watch that now. Yeah. You know what I mean? You and I anticipate, we look at news, we look at what's coming out, we look at, is this connected to that? So when these things are connected, mm-hmm. It's like a treat for us, because it's almost like our work, like us paying attention pays off in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just
but not everybody.
Not everybody
wants to sit through 25 Marvel movies to lead up to Infinity War. They just want to watch a fucking movie.
Yeah. And I always think there's always going to be non-cinematic universes, and I think there's going to always be even cinematic universes that you don't need to fully participate in. I mean, there's Marvel movies I'm missing out on, to be honest, and it doesn't take away my enjoyment.
I think you've seen all of them.
Have I?
To be honest, I think you have.
Not really. I haven't really seen Thor, the first one. I haven't seen the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk.
Okay. Well, the two that you haven't really seen are the passable ones.
I'm trying to think if there's any other ones. I barely remember Iron Man 2. I don't remember Iron Man 1 very well. I remember watching it and being like, this is pretty good.
You know why you don't remember Iron Man 2? Because no one remembers Iron Man 2.
I didn't get people ranting and raving about Iron Man 1 when I first saw it. I thought it was good, but people were like, this is the greatest superhero.
No, I feel the same way. I think it's a really good movie, but it's completely overhyped. But I never let overhype get to me.
I'm trying to think if there's any other Marvel film. I guess I did watch all of them, mainly because, I only saw Thor 2 because you put it on.
Yeah. That's how you end up seeing a lot of movies, is we just put it on in the background.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other Marvel movies I haven't seen. I guess I have seen them.
Yeah, you've seen...
I haven't enjoyed all of them, but...
There's gonna be duds.
No, of course.
How fucking many have they made? Of course you don't like all of them.
I liked Captain America more than most people. The first one.
Yeah.
I didn't get why people hated it.
I liked it more the first time than I do on rewatches, but I still think it's decent.
Oh no, it's not fantastic, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't get why people were freaking out about Iron Man and saying Captain America was shit when they were pretty similar movies.
I like them about the same, to be honest. They're just okay. Of
course, Winter Soldier is like way better.
I don't really start enjoying the Marvel films until Avengers.
Civil War is one of those movies that I think is one of those roller coaster movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people agree with me, but I think Civil War is a mess at times. I think there's parts of that movie that don't make a lot of sense or feel weird or rushed but then it also has some amazing parts in it too. I feel similarly about Civil War that I do about Batman v Superman, but people some people want to crucify me for that opinion. Because people are like, no, Batman v Superman is literally the devil and Civil War is literally God. Civil War was a huge step down from Winter Soldier. We can agree on that, right? Because Winter Soldier was fucking amazing.
I will agree that it was a step down, but I think it's a very slight step down. I love Civil War.
You love Civil War, but its main antagonist you're not too crazy about.
He's such a small part of that film. Every time I think of Civil War, I always forget about Baron Zemo. It's not that I don't like him. It's just that I literally fucking forget about him.
If you think about it, Civil War and Batman v Superman share a lot of beats too. Grand Mastermind creates a plan to get superheroes to fight.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not saying they're the same film at all. I think
not at all.
I think they have different problems. Actually,
a lot of people were actually upset about that comparison, though, when those two movies were coming out. Yeah, because
in a like, oh, A copied B, or in a like, don't make that comparison way.
In a way that, like, oh, Marvel did this and the critics are like totally okay with it, but DC fucks up.
Oh no, it's not. Just because they have similar plots doesn't mean that, you should treat them the same. They have different problems, though. Yeah. Civil War, as a whole, is an enjoyable movie. Batman v Superman is enjoyable only if you watch scenes separately. If you watch the whole movie, there's just so many scenes that just don't need to be there. I mean, like you said, Batman v Superman is a good movie with a bunch of a bad movie with it too.
Yeah.
It's night and day with scenes.
And those are the kinds of movies that hurt me the most.
Movies that could have been amazing?
Yeah, like...
were almost good.
You know how I feel about the Hobbit trilogy. It's like, if they would have made that one 3-hour movie instead of 3 3-hour movies, it would have been a great movie.
Can we mention what we're doing? I mean, we're never going to release it to the public.
Yeah, we're just doing this, purely for our own entertainment.
Summer thinks the Hobbit movie could have been better. I think Batman v Superman could be better. So we're both re-editing both of those into, 2-hour films. I'm taking the extended edition of Batman v Superman because I think my opinion is the movie is too long. They cut out the wrong scenes. They left in all the philosophical talks that just beat you over the head with, this character thinks this way, this character thinks this way, and all the dialogue that isn't necessary. And then they cut out parts of Luthor's plan that explain why Superman did certain things or why Batman did certain things. Parts of the plot are missing.
Yeah.
And, this would have fixed so many problems. Because the theatrical cut's the worst one, but that's because it keeps unnecessary scenes in and gets rid of important scenes. Summer, on the other hand, is taking The Hobbit, which is 3 movies, as you may know, and is condensing it down into one film because, I mean, it really should have just been one film. It's just money-grubbing people at whoever made this. Because I know Peter Jackson did not want to make a The Hobbit film.
It was originally going to be 2 movies.
Which I guess wouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been that bad because it is a world-sprawling adventure. So yeah, they could have stretched it out to 2 movies and been totally fine. But it was going to be Guillermo del Toro heading the project, and Peter Jackson was just going to be providing advice because he had said before, I never want to do The Hobbit.
Yeah, Peter Jackson's better when it comes to more. Not adult, but you know what I mean. It's serious films.
Yeah.
With humor, of course, but The Hobbit is supposed to be a kid's movie, right? Or The Hobbit is the book is a kid's book.
The book was a kid's book. The movie was supposed to be more lighthearted in tone, but
didn't a lot of there's some stuff in the Silmarillion that was in the Hobbit movies? Or just stuff that was happening in the universe confirmed.
Well,
with Tolkien.
Look at it. This is kind of how it is. So, like, the book is entirely from Bilbo's point of view, right? But there are parts in the book where, like, Gandalf or somebody will go off and do his own thing. And, you know, he'll tell you about it later in the book when he comes back to the party.
Totally saw Sauron the other day.
Yeah.
Weird.
But in the movie, you know, they put those scenes in when they would happen.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But then they added plot lines.
Yeah, but then they added stuff like Azog, the Defiler, who is not
He's dead by the time, right? He was fighting... Isn't he, like, dead by the time The Hobbit rolls around? Like, he was in a war before?
I read the... Oh, Jesus, it's hard to get on that platform. I read The Hobbit again very recently. I don't remember them ever mentioning Azog the Defiler. I'm reading Lord of the Rings as of this recording, so they might mention it at some point, but
I know he's a character.
He's not in The Hobbit. That's my point.
I did look up something saying that Azog was, in fact, a character in the Tolkien verse. I think he's mentioned in the Silmarillion, or... I think he's more mentioned than he is shown. And he was just known as a great orc general that fought in a war, I think it was before The Hobbit.
Okay.
And that's something...
Well, yeah, they do, in the Hobbit movies, they do explain that he was in a war with, like, Thorin's ancestor or something.
Okay, maybe that's...
But yeah, they made him alive again, I guess, for the movies.
Was that... What do you think? Do you think Azog works in the Hobbit movies?
No.
Would you cut him out if you... Is it possible, or...
I don't know. I'm really gonna try as much as I can.
Maybe just make him, like... Hey, Azog's there, or whatever.
I mean,
like, just not...
In the flashback scene, I guess it's fine. But you know what? I'm gonna cut out the fucking flashback scene, because it has nothing to do with The Hobbit.
Well, what I'm wondering is Azog a problem, or is it the fact that we spend too much time on Azog?
Azog is a problem because he detracts from the main plot of the film, which... You know, we don't need more to detract from it on top of all the other shit that's already going on. Also, I just hate how terrible his CGI is in comparison. This is what bothers me about it the most, is that I'm supposed to think that this is in the same universe as Lord of the Rings that had all these practical effects and shit, and everything in The Hobbit is a fucking blue screen and a mocap actor.
Yeah. Which sucks, because I'm going to go on the record and say that Azog might not be a great character, but his actor is one of my favorite, Manu Bennett. Shook the man's hand. They were massive. He's a sweet guy. Great actor. But, you know, if the character itself is broken from the start, no amount of good acting is going to save that. Whoa.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
And there's a lot of shit. Like, the entire third movie, The Battle of Five Armies, that... That's one chapter in the book, and it's one of the shortest chapters. I listened to the audiobook, and that chapter I think is like 15 or 20 minutes long.
Okay, so you're going to try to cut out Azog as much as you can. Maybe just have him as, like, if he's in a fight scene or something, you know, leave him in there.
He can be there, but he's not going to be talking or anything, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, okay.
He's just going to be an orc that's there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I could see that working really well. You're gonna cut out the love triangle shit, right?
Yeah, that doesn't need to be there. Tauriel is, as far as I'm aware, a completely original character. She's not from the Tolkien verse at all. Legolas, honestly, I've thought about it. It makes sense for him to be there because he lives in that forest and he was alive at the time of The Hobbit. They just don't mention him in the book because they don't mention any elves by name. But it makes sense.
Oh, so he could have been there.
Yeah, he absolutely could have been
So you're going to probably keep Legolas as a character, but it's going to seem more like a cameo type thing?
Right.
Like Legolas was there, but he didn't do a lot? Or he wasn't important to the story?
Yeah, like Legolas never followed them out of the woods or anything, because no elves... followed them or tracked them. So Legolas and Tauriel following them to the lake town and shit like that doesn't need to be there.
So you're gonna cut out as much as you can without making
as much as I possibly can.
Without making it an incoherent plot. And I'm going to do the same thing with Batman v Superman. I'm going to say this right now. I cannot cut out the Martha scene. There's no way to cut out the Martha. But I can make it not as bad.
The only plots that need to be in the film are Bilbo's and Thorin's. Like, the other shit can all go. Mm-hmm. And, you know, maybe some of the Gandalf stuff, because that's important-ish.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool, and, well, I mean...
It's important to the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like the thing that's going to be hard with you is I'm cutting one 3-hour film down to 2 hours, and I'm keeping the main story beats. You're going to be cutting out huge parts.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the pacing is going to work well.
I think it will, simply because I'm removing entire fucking plot lines.
Well, I'm not saying the pacing won't be good. What I'm trying to say is, this just sounds difficult, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This might take you a while.
It will, but I'm willing to work with it.
I actually thought about it. You're gonna die.
Yeah, I'm gonna die. Well, damn it, the surface was right
there.
Oh
my fucking shit!
Oh well.
How many lives do you
have? 6. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. But, yeah, the more I think about it, it's not gonna take me super long to do.
Oh god. Fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, that sucked. That was just bad reaction.
No, it's not going to take me a long time to do Batman v Superman, though.
No?
No. I think the longest is going to be the audio fixing. Even then, that's like the one area I have the most... God damn.
I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
It's all my fault.
This looks hard.
Oh, God.
If you get hit once, you die? Oh, you
don't
don't have any rings.
rings.
Oh, I'm stupid. Should hit Sonic again. Get some onion rings.
I agree. I'm gonna go... Alright, check this out.
Ooh.
Haha. Now you ain't got no balls. Ha! Summer knows what she's doing sometimes.
Sometimes. She didn't lose 3 lives in a row.
Shut up.
I love you.
What?
Yeah, I always wanted to do my own edit of another movie, but it's hard when, you know, you either have to do it with, like, something that should have been one movie. Like the Star Wars prequel trilogy, which, I mean, could have been 3 movies and been fine if it wasn't just... But a lot of people edit those down. And that just seemed like too much work for me, honestly.
I saw a really good edit of it once it started off with the Darth Maul fight.
Yeah, I've seen that one, the Phantom edit.
I think that's what it was.
It starts off with the Darth Maul fight because most of the Phantom Menace is completely...
Yeah.
Irrelevant.
It doesn't need to be shown.
It starts with the Darth Maul fight because it's A, fucking badass, and B, at the end of it when Qui-Gon dies, he says, "You train the boy," and that sets off the whole Obi-Wan and Anakin thing. It actually puts in deleted scenes that are acted terribly, but are important to the plot. Such as, Anakin and Padme doing shit together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, shit! Oh, no. Okay. Do you hate the prequel trilogy as much as I do? I don't really know how you feel about it that in depth.
I love it ironically.
Yeah.
It's funny as hell. It's so bad. But I like certain parts of it.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones is pretty dumb throughout. The only parts I like are when, like, Jango Fett is fighting Obi-Wan and shit like that.
Yeah.
But that's, like, not enough to be, like, a good movie for me. I also... And again, this is more of an ironic love. I love the fact that, like, Obi-Wan goes to, like, a 50s diner at one point to ask questions, and it's like, why does this exist?
You want to buy some death sticks?
At the nightclub? Yeah. And he's like, I want to go home and rethink my life. Yeah, it's funny and it's stupid, but There's parts of Revenge of the Sith that I like. Revenge of the Sith pisses me off because there's like... It's how I feel like they tried harder with it, and it was like, oh, here's some good ideas, but it falls flat. It's like, it's kind of like Batman v Superman, instead of just having too much scenes in general, and certain scenes could be cut out and the movie could be saved. Mm-hmm. You know, you couldn't cut out stuff without getting rid of plot.
You heard it here, folks. Revenge of the Sith is the Batman v Superman of Star Wars.